Today, I made my chickens a little bouquet from bolting kale and some leaves from cabbages that were taken over by cabbage worms. But let me show you what's been going on in my beautiful garden after a few days of rain. My sunflowers are about to open, and it looks like I have a couple of heads that are going to open. Look at that. Beautiful. Zucchinis absolutely blew up. Look at that. Massive. This is gooseberry or currant, green currant. That's what I'm thinking about. But that zucchini and this zucchini are doing fantastic. I have this growing, and I believe it is from a raspberry cutting that I put in here because my parents brought some from Pennsylvania. Look at this basil. It definitely just sprung out of nowhere. It is beautiful. It smells so good. So this area here is where I wanted to plant my quinoa. Now, is this quinoa? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this is a weed. So what I'm gonna do actually is rip this one out. I think this is quinoa. I think this is quinoa because I've never seen anything like this grow here, and it looks promising. So this here grew up, and in the beginning they looked about the same, this guy and this guy. But now that I see that it's not producing anything, I think it's definitely a weed. So I'm gonna rip it out, and it's bringing a whole bunch of aphids with it. So definitely a goner. Onto my compost pile that actually has tomatoes and cork grown from it. So lesson learned, I'm gonna cover my pile with some shade or some kind of cloth so the weeds don't grow, because it does not look like a compost pile right now. So now that I got rid of that huge weed, hopefully this is an actual quinoa, and hopefully now that it has more room, it will grow. Those melons that I planted here, I thinned them out. There's still quite a bit here, so I'll let them grow, see if they can fill out the space because it's kind of bare here. For the most part, my strawberries are doing fantastic. They are taking a break a little bit because I'm not finding as many strawberries. Well, now that I'm talking about it, maybe I'm not looking hard enough because, boom, look at that. That's a pretty big strawberry. But overall, they definitely slowed down. The tomatoes are doing great. I actually have to come here and thin these or prune them. But this is way too close for them. So what I'm gonna do is actually go ahead and rip this out. I know it's sad to see, but you gotta sacrifice some good plants to give the better plants a better chance. You can see here, they are flowering, so exciting. But yeah, my tomatoes are finally coming up, and finally I can call this a tomato bed. My basil here in this bed is taking its sweet time to grow, and only one stem survived, but it's not a big deal because when it starts being strong, I'm going to start harvesting it very strategically, so it's gonna bush out for me. My pepper bed is doing a bit better, maybe. So I have 1 and 2 original peppers that I planted. I have one of this sweet banana pepper, but I don't think it compares to anything that these banana peppers are doing. If you remember, I plucked all the blossoms out of these peppers, and look, we got some fresh ones, and they are growing. There's another one, so I am happy to see this growth for sure. Out of all my beds, my corn bed has grown up the most in the past couple of days since it started raining. And this corn is maybe 3 feet tall now, which is amazing. Here in this bed, I also sowed a couple of packets from Germany, seeds from Germany. And I have one big radish that sprouted. Now, I can harvest it and eat it, but what I want to do is I actually want to harvest the seeds from this. So I'm leaving it be, hoping that it will go to seed And I can collect those seeds and then sow a whole bunch more, just like this. Here on this side, I got some beans that are finally starting to produce actual beans here and flowering. Melons are not doing too hot here, so I might take some from that bed over there where I sowed a whole bunch in one space and put them in here because this is not doing anything really. I'm going to rip these peas out super soon. They are putting off a whole bunch of new growth, so I want to leave them for just a little bit longer. But that spaghetti squash is actually starting to grow pretty good. Look at this. They're going places, so I'm excited for that. I'm going to clear this out so the spaghetti squash has some room to grow. Then here are my zinnias. Look at that. I got my first bloom. My lupine is doing amazing. We'll see what happens here. I've never grown lupines before. And my dill is flowering here, which I don't mind actually. I've been harvesting quite a bit of dill, eating it in my salads. My herb corner is finally coming alive. It's like half the season is gone and it's finally starting to grow. Parsley is growing. This is from the moment I started this garden. I actually harvested some parsley seeds from my old garden beds, and so this has been coming back year after year. This year's just been super slow. My spinach is actually growing, but it's so tiny that I haven't eaten anything from it. However, this spinach has not bolted and I need that, so if and when it bolts, I'm gonna collect this seed and actually regrow this type of spinach and not regrow any other one, because any other ones I sowed, they bolt right away. Basil finally coming up. Chives finally coming up. Oregano, always doing great. Thyme, I trimmed it pretty nicely back so it's not going wild. Cilantro. That is the tomatoes that I showed you guys last time when they were super babies. And look at them now. Again, I gotta prune them. Basically what they do is, really what you need is to get rid of anything that is touching the ground, because that can promote disease and all kinds of fungus growth. So you want to make sure that they're nice and clean, and then get rid of any of these suckers. Those little tiny things here, they grow into independent big branches, which is, you know, not bad, but I don't have that much space here, so I don't want them to branch out too bad. So I'm gonna need to do that for all of those plants. My lettuce is finally coming in pretty strong here. And this bed is mostly in shade, so it's not bolting yet. Here on the other side of the trellis, since I ripped out my radishes, my cucumbers are finally starting to grow. Got that right there, a couple of here, one over here, and one over here. These broad beans are finally starting to put on some fruit. If you can see that, I don't know how long they take. Never grown them before, but I'm giving them a chance. These guys, I actually forgot what they were. I think they're kohlrabis, so I'm leaving them be. And I left one of those golden radishes here too, because I wanted to also go to seed, for me to harvest the seed, because I really like these. These were actually sweet radishes, not bitter. So I want to grow some more of those. Here in this bed, this is the spinach that bolted like the second week that it started growing. Just as soon as the weather went into like 70s, it started to bolt right away. So I'm gonna rip this out. I don't need that kind of spinach here. Here are my carrots. It's like a whole forest here. Look at that. I have been eyeing some of them. They are looking promising. Look at that. They're looking promising. So I'm leaving them be for now. We'll be harvesting soon. Lettuce doing amazing, not bolting. These are some of the leaves that I gave my chickens because of these guys. Completely just decimated. My sweet potato is doing amazing. And look at these slips. They are gonna be lovely. I can't wait for this to just vine and take over. I think it needs some hot temperatures, so we are definitely getting into that zone. And last but not least is my garlic and corn bed. Now, one thing that is making me nervous is that corn has some intertwined roots. So when I start pulling this out, I hope I'm not damaging corn roots, because look at that. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to show you the garlic, and look, this right here, this is a corn root. So we'll see how it goes. I've never done this, but what's the worst that can happen, right? So much has changed in my garden because of how much it was been raining, and I'm really excited because harvest season is super close. So stick around because I'll be showing you how I harvest, what I do with my harvest, what I do with all this food, how I eat it. I hope I encouraged you to go garden a little, and I'll see you next time. Bye.